It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
I would say I do more than half the housework. Do you disagree with that? You're laughing.
Do you mean blowing the leaves?
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson, the author of 6 books about raising happy families. I'm here with Kylie, my wife, and mum to our 6 kids, who's a little bit cranky with me today because I won't be saying the author of 6 books for much longer. I've taken on some projects, you might say. Kylie, you're with me on FaceTime because we're living in different places right now, and I'm kind of glad because you are a bit cranky. Do you want to highlight why you're a bit cranky?
Well, at the end of parental guidance, you took on 2 more books, which would take you to 8.
Uh-huh.
Then you rang me yesterday to tell me that not only are you about to write book 7 and 8, but you've actually now just taken on 9 and 10. And over the next 18 months, you have to write 4 books.
There's a lot of work to do, isn't there? It's exciting. Such a big project, so much opportunity to help families in so many different ways. I mean, I'm so excited for this, but you're not sharing my enthusiasm.
Part of the reason we were moving to the coast was because we were looking to slow life down and to enjoy what life has to offer instead of you being stuck in the office writing.
Trust me, honey, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I promise you. It's going to be great.
Okay.
So this is the point where maybe I should put you on mute because I'm really scared about what you're about to say.
Well, let's just say I have this recorded.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You do.
I have proof that you told me it's going to be okay.
So the reason that we're having this conversation with you in public rather than keeping it behind closed doors is because every relationship has its challenges. But when we get our relationship working, when we're on the same page, we are much better together. And tonight, there's a webinar for all Happy Families members, whether you're a basic member or a premium member. It's called Better Together. Last year, Kylie and I did a workshop, a 2-hour workshop about it. This is a completely different thing. It's just me, a 1-hour webinar about how to make your couple's relationship stronger, whether you're co-parenting, whether you're with an ex or not with an ex, regardless of whether you're with your husband or wife or a new partner. Better Together is for you. If you're not a Happy Families member, why not? It's only $13 a month or $18 for a premium membership. The list of value, the premium Happy Families content that we give you is extraordinary. $13 a month or $18 a month. Or when you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free. So jump online and sign up today and join us for Better Together tonight. If you don't want to sign up as a member, you can still pay $30 and the webinar is yours as well. So, Kylie, let's talk about the webinar. We're going to be talking about how to make our relationship strong. But I thought in the podcast today, we could play around with some relationship errors that every single one of us make.
Well, we've highlighted many times that I'm perfect, so I'm not sure which mistake I'm bringing up today. But let's just say for everybody else out there, what would you say the number one relationship mistake would be?
All right, so we're going to talk about this in detail tonight, but let's give it a sort of a quick overview right now. I'm going to say the number one mistake is it's universal. We all make this mistake, and that is that we fall victim to biases. So let me talk about a couple of them, and you tell me whether or not there might be any of these, even in the current issue that we're dealing with just now. So I'm going to start with egocentrism. Egocentrism is when we feel like everything is about us. Okay, so I'm only thinking about things from my perspective. I'm seeing it through my lens. Oh, and then let's say you're not in a great mood, Kylie, and it has nothing to do with me at all. Egocentrism bias is when I say to you, hey, what's wrong? And you say, nothing. And I'm like, well, it seems like you're upset. And you say, well, I'm not doing great, but it's got nothing to do with you. I'm just having a bit of a day. And I'm like, no, there's something going on and you're denying it. And I think that there's something the matter. And then what happens is you start to get mad at me because I'm telling you that there must be something wrong and that you're mad at me, and you're saying that you're not mad at me, which makes you mad at me, even though it had nothing to do with me in the first place. But now it does have everything to do with me because I've made it all about me because of my egocentrism.
That was a mouthful.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying, right?
Well, since we're talking about it, obviously yesterday when you shared with me that you had taken on these extra projects, I was not very excited about it, and our conversation didn't end on a good note.
No. You were pretty cranky. And then you texted me later and tried to explain yourself a little bit more. And we were able to work it out. But that's because not only was the egocentric bias working against me, I was getting a little bit too egocentric, but I was also doing something called projection bias. So projection bias is when we think that other people share our preferences and beliefs more than they actually do. I just thought that you'd be as excited about this as I am, because if I'm excited about it, surely you're going to be excited about it.
You know, one of the things that I absolutely love about you and always have is your enthusiasm for life and your desire to jump into life in every stage, every place that you feel would be beneficial. And in saying that, it's also the thing that drives me the most crazy.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to sit still, and you don't know how to not be doing things.
Yeah, we've actually talked about this before. We're pretty certain when we look at the criteria for adult ADHD that I probably qualify, and I might have even had it when I was a child, but it was never diagnosed. And this is one of those things where, and the other aspect of this is we get kind of optimistic about our own, well, I do anyway, about our own capacity to do things. And I remember many years ago, somebody said, what's your life motto? If you had to make up a life motto on the spot, what would it be? And I was quiet for about 10 seconds. And then I said, it would be two things. Number one, always bite off more than you can chew. And number two, make it up as you go along. And I remember you just laughing and being, that is so what we do. That is so what you do. But that's where projection bias, it becomes a really big error, because when I'm projecting onto you and saying, this is going to, and we do it all the time, right? This is going to be great. You're going to love it. And we're only saying it because I think it's going to be great and I think I'm going to love it. So that it's like oysters. Okay, I love oysters and olives. I love olives. And when I say to you, you're going to love it. It's so good. That's projection. I want to get to a couple more of these biases because we all make these mistakes. After the break, let's talk about overclaiming and the fundamental attribution error.
It's the Happy Families Podcast.
For a happier family, try a Happy Families membership, because a happy family doesn't just happen. Details at happyfamilies.com.au.
It's the Happy Families Podcast, the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now. And today we're delving into some of the biggest relationship mistakes we all make, except...
No, even me. I make these more than just about anyone, even though I teach people how to not make them. And that's because tonight, Better Together, the webinar, is happening for all Happy Families members. It's included in your membership. If you're not a member, please sign up today and join us for what should be an absolute cracker. An absolute cracker of a webinar. Kylie, we've done 2 of our 4 that I'm going to talk about. There's actually about 7 that we could talk about. In fact, there's more, but that we're going to talk about in tonight's webinar. I want to talk to you about the overclaiming bias. Tell me if this sounds familiar. If somebody says, hey, Justin, what percentage of the housework do you do? What percentage do you think I would claim?
I think that you would think you do about 50%.
No, I would say I do more than that. I would say I do more than half the housework. Do you disagree with that? You're laughing.
Do you mean blowing the leaves?
Well, no. I'm talking about inside the house. I'm not talking about all the stuff outside the house. I reckon I would do between 50 and 60%. Yeah. Yep. When it comes to all of the cleaning or the vacuuming or the amount of work that I do in the kitchen alone, Kylie, it's got to be 70% of the housework, the amount of time that I spend in the kitchen.
Wow.
How much would you say that you do? What percentage would you say if we weren't having this, if we hadn't already had this part of the conversation?
Oh, I would say that I do about 80%.
80%?
Yeah.
And if we asked the children what percentage they did, it's going to add up to more than 100, right?
Well, especially with your 70%.
So, all right. So maybe I've overclaimed it on purpose. Maybe I've overclaimed it a little bit on purpose. But here's the thing. When researchers ask couples who does what share of the housework, what we tend to find is that it always adds up to more than 100. Both partners believe that they're contributing more than they probably actually are, and they're overclaiming. And this is a bias. Now, this happens for a couple of reasons. Number one, I know very well what I'm doing, but I don't really have a clue what you're up to. I'm fully immersed in my own world, and I know how many dishes I clean, and I know how many saucepans I scrub. I know what I'm doing and how much work I'm doing on the house, but I can't see what you're doing because I'm so busy doing what I'm doing. And so that's part of the overclaiming problem. The other part is we actually think that we're bigger contributors than we really are. Overclaiming, I mean, you and I together, we're doing 140% of the housework, Kylie, and yet it's still never done. I don't understand that.
All right. Well, tell me, what's the last one?
So we're going to talk about that later tonight. And the last one that we'll talk about for now is the fundamental attribution error, which is a really fancy way of saying that when our partner makes...
It's just a mouthful.
Yeah, I know, but it's been around for about 70 years now, and there's a lot of research to support it, and that's what it's called, fundamental attribution error. It's basically when our partner makes a mistake, it's primarily because they're faulty, like they've got an issue with their character, and we see their character flaws and weaknesses, and we blame them for being malicious or unthoughtful or selfish. But when we make mistakes, it was all about the circumstances. It was just bad luck conspiring against us. It's not me, it's the environment. It's not me, it's the pressure, it's the kids, it's the fact that my mum called at the wrong time. It's all of those kinds of things. So when you get mad at me for doing something that you didn't want me to do, that's
like take on books.
Like take on too many books. It's not actually my fault. It's all of the other stuff that's happening. That it's all of that stuff out there, not me, because I'm a good person. But when you do the wrong thing, you know, if you were to sum it up in a simple sentence, fundamental attribution error is basically, I want you to judge me by my intentions, not my actions. Because that's how you judge yourself. You judge yourself by your intentions, not your actions. But because
you know what you were thinking in the moment that you did whatever you did.
Exactly. So all of those things we're going to be talking about in Better Together tonight, as well as the solutions, how we can get past these faulty biases, how we can get past our failure to invest, how we can get our focus right in our relationship, get past the idea that we should be comfortable, recognize the bumps in the road, and then look at 6 surefire ways that we can strengthen our relationship. I think this is going to be the best webinar that I've done in such a long time. I can't wait for you to join me. Kylie, thanks for sharing all of my faults with everyone in today's podcast. I appreciate that.
Well, you must feel like you've just hit the jackpot. Being married to me with no faults at all.
I feel like that every day. Tonight, please join us, Better Together. It's at 7 o'clock Queensland time, 8 o'clock New South Wales Victoria time. Check your local guides for details. What I mean by that is jump onto happyfamilies.com.au, become a Happy Families member. It's included in your membership, $13 a month or $18 a month. Or if you don't want to become a member for some reason that I can't quite understand, you can always buy the webinar for $30, and hopefully we'll have a record crowd, a whole bunch of people working out how to make their relationships better. That's Better Together tonight. All the details at happyfamilies.com.au. As always, we appreciate Justin Rowland. He produces the podcast and makes it sound great and fixes up all of our mistakes. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. He's the ideas man. Craig, thanks for your work. If you'd like to get more info, like I said, all the details are at happyfamilies.com.au.